Buenas.
Buenas.
Hi, and welcome to Film Posers. We are doing something a little bit differently today where we recently got the chance to see I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and it premieres today, September 4th. So what better thing to do than analyze this metaphysical thriller? We'll do our best. So hi, I'm Josie from Film Posers.
I'm Gabriela from Film Poser.
Sophia.
Okay, so we're gonna try to review this metaphysical thriller. So, Gabriela, what were your thoughts on I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Charlie Kaufman?
So I didn't really know what to expect from that movie, other than it was just going to be, a mess, like Charlie Kaufman often does. Like, this thing that you have to piece together. So going into it, that was my expectation, that this is going to be the sort of movie that it's going to require multiple watches to fully understand what it's about. And that was exactly what we got. But the way I would describe it is just like an incredibly artsy episode of Black Mirror. Specifically, it is a combination of White Christmas, which is my favorite episode, and Hang the DJ. I would consider it to be a mix of those two episodes of Black Mirror. And I just think that, it was very well done, because, these types of movies are all often a hit or miss, because sometimes those movies can just be an unintelligible mess that you're just like, what even? And like, you don't want to think about it. You don't want to think about everything. You just want to see a movie and for it to tell you what it was about and everything. But I felt like this movie, it did that, but I actually enjoyed thinking about it at the end. I really wanted to go deeper into it. So it really left me, it's not like you listen to our episode of Eraserhead, that I was really frustrated with that movie because it was just like a bunch of scenes glued together, figure out what it's about. So this movie is kind of like that, but I was actually more intrigued about it, and I wanted to piece it together. And also, it has a lot of Oklahoma references, and I love musical theater, so I really enjoyed that too. And I also really loved the directing. It was just so artsy, and the way that things changed during scenes, that I hadn't realized it before until Josie pointed it out, and then I was just like, oh my god, I didn't want to miss anything. So I really, really enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. I haven't seen a lot of Kaufman's work, so I really can't say where I would put it, because I've only seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, so I like them both equally, honestly. But yeah, definitely, it was really good. It was definitely worth the hype, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is my first Charlie Kaufman film, so I did not know what to expect. But from the information we got when we received the screener, it was evident that this would be a movie that was gonna it was gonna require a lot from you. You can't just watch this movie and be paying attention to your phone or anything else. You have to fully engage with the film.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Anna, what are your thoughts?
Well, as for me, I watched another Kaufman movies. I watched Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, so I kind of had an idea of how Kaufman films are, but I didn't expect this, because it was totally different from these two movies that I have seen from him. I agree with Gabriela and Josie. You have to be concentrated in this movie, because if you miss out one part, you don't know what's about. I didn't even know that some stuff were changing until Josie pointed it out. So when she pointed
the Leonardo DiCaprio meme of wait a second, her earrings. Yeah, it's just simple things like her sweater or her earrings, and then you start seeing it on other people, and you're like, what's happening?
And how when she was saying, oh, but this is my profession. First of all, she was an artist, and then she was a physicist. Yeah. Wait a second. And no, this is not your name, too. Because she was changing names every couple, minutes or so.
Yeah, because I remember at one point I was like, oh, he called her Lucia, or Lucia.
Lisa.
So that's the thing. He called her Lucia in one, and I was like, he just called her Lucia. And then Gabriela was like, no, her name's Luisa. And I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, and you start noticing like the small details of the parents, like, but when the age changes and then their costumes are totally different.
Their hair. Like at one point, Toni Collette had bangs that she didn't have before. The father had less hair than he had before. Like all of these physical changes on all of the characters.
Yeah, which brings it back. Like, once you see this film, you'll notice that it is really a depiction of how people project themselves on other people, because essentially the only person that actually has a name is Jake. All the other people are either a young woman, mother, or father. So these people are people by themselves without Jake present. And it's also very interesting that he did that with the kind of film where you meet the in-laws, because usually when you go to meet the in-laws, you tend to become someone else or a part of yourself that you change like a chameleon. The best way to describe the film is like a chameleon. You change your appearance and the way you adapt to your environment depending on the people around you. But I thought I was one step ahead of him, and then like when we got to the end, I was like, whoa, I never moved at all.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. So update, Gabriela had to step out because of a personal appointment. So we'll be continuing the discussion because it's a good discussion and this movie has a lot to talk about. So Anna, continue what you were saying about like following the thread of like the chameleon and changing to appeal to different people.
Yes, because when I finished the film, I thought, okay, maybe it's about how he wanted different lives, or like there are even different universe within his like character per se. But at the same time, when you told me like, oh, maybe it's the perception that the people get from him, I was like, well, what is it? So for me, I think it's just different ways how people perceive him, but it could be interpreted whenever you want, because at the end of the movie you don't even know what kind of it's about. You get like a little bit left in the blue with this film.
Yeah, and going more into spoiler territory, so you've been warned, spoilers from here on out. Giving you guys 5 seconds to get out of here. So into spoilers, there was this moment at the beginning where for some reason I was like, Anna, I think the janitor and Jake are the same person. And then Gabriela said the same thing a little while later, and we were all like, is Jake the janitor? And like it's there from the beginning. If you pay attention from the beginning, you'll notice that the clues are there. But even though in the end they never actually confirm it, but you can assume it's him. Especially like I think the main clue would be because at the beginning they go from shots from the janitor and then to him in the car. So you're like, wait a second, is this the same person? And then the most evident one is when she goes downstairs and she sees his uniform in the laundry. So you're like, wait, is Jake the janitor? But then you're wondering, okay, how does this all fit in? Because when we see him at the beginning, it's like day, it's kind of spring, not exactly winter. And then when we go back to them driving, they're driving in the middle of the snow. So I don't know, there's a lot about this film that just makes you wonder, what?
No, but when we talk about like, okay, Jake being the janitor, I think one of the things you can pinpoint was when he saw the swing set. Because he saw the swing set when he was driving by, and we also see a swing set when the janitor was getting out of his house. So you can see like little spoilers ahead, or like hints at the beginning of the film that, oh, he is the janitor.
Yeah. And then, because I'm a proud supporter of the in-laws horror universe, so because that's some scary stuff, because you always have to be a certain kind of person in those situations. And I think Charlie Kaufman definitely, because it's not necessarily a horror film like you would expect from the trailer. I definitely thought it was going to be a little bit more horror, and it was kind of suspenseful, but it was more like playing with it was mind games. And when we see her with the parents, at first it seems more like she's the protagonist, the young woman. But after a while, you start noticing that it's Jake, especially since he has control over who she is and who all these people are.
Yeah, we're seeing Jake's character through her in the whole film, because I even thought it was like, oh, she's just the main protagonist, because even the trailer was showing her, but it's not even her, because she doesn't even have a name in the movie. She doesn't have her own identity, because her own identity is built by him. So we start to see like different different stuff from her, in a sense, because we don't even know, first of all, we don't even know her name, we don't even know what she is, what she even likes. It's so broad and different what we are seeing. It's crazy.
It's also like the way that they met always changes. Even you'd think that his parents would be real, but even I started questioning if they were real or not, because even the way we see them changes, because it was sometimes like we see them age, and at one point like she's dead or she's right there, and the father starts talking about her as if she's not there, which also this film is like the perfect representation of Toni Collette's range.
We love
because we see her in so many different ways, and it's like range.
I feel that Toni Collette is really like underestimated in some of her films, but when it comes to psychological dramas or horror per se, we can see her in her full potential.
Definitely. And the thing is that there's one scene where the young woman played by Josie is in his childhood bedroom, in Jake's childhood bedroom. And we noticed that the father is talking to her, and there are notes everywhere because he has Alzheimer's. He's losing his memory. And you kind of start to wonder if that's really the condition that he has in that moment, or if it's just a sign of how Jake keeps changing who they are, and they don't really know who they are. I don't know. This movie has a lot to talk about.
It is, because even in that specific scene, we see like, oh, no. We see two scenes in the same room. We see him with Alzheimer's and with not Alzheimer's. Like, and when he entered, he had a dog. But what's interesting is because when the first time they got into the house, she said, oh, I didn't know you guys had a dog. And you see Jake saying, oh, I don't think we have a dog. But the dog appears. It's like him, his mind saying, oh, we have a dog now. So here it is. Very awkward entrance.
Also, that one moment, there's one scene where she is like petting the dog, but we never see the dog because he's not really there. But like they think it's there, and it's just, oh my god, esta película.
And can we talk about going back to like the first act? Because the first act practically is like a full shot. It's like a one shot of them just talking. And it's them, you can see like their relationship and how their relationship is really awkward, and she's repeating herself, oh, I'm thinking of ending things. And we just sense the very awkward vibe between them that we're like, oh, this is not gonna work out.
Yeah, especially since you already realize something weird is going to go down in the rest of the film when she thinks, I'm thinking of ending things, and immediately he's like, did you say something? And she wasn't speaking. So you, at that moment, you know, oh, we're in for a wild ride, kids. Everything that they talk about, like, it's one of those moments where you have to pay attention to what the characters are saying, because everything that they talk about plays out. Like, it's paid off later on in the film, especially like that one moment where he's talking about like musical theater. And then in the end, we see like the Dream Ballet from Oklahoma. So like it has a purpose.
Yeah, it definitely has a purpose, but I feel because I didn't understand the Oklahoma part until you and Gabriela told me about it, because not many people are going to understand it. That's what I feel. That's why they're going to be confused. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even like afterwards, after watching the film, we like tried to like, hey, let's figure something out. But apparently the movie and the book, it's not the same. It's a total different idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even know. We had to like rewatch the film to at least understand something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we had, when we finished the film, we decided to look up the plot of the book just to have an idea of where it could go. And that's what leaned us toward believing that everyone was just a figment of Jake's imagination. Like, his parents probably do exist, but we don't know who exactly they are because we saw so many different variations that we don't know who his parents are, what his life is, or if we were just seeing like his past self and how he actually did like this woman that he saw out and about and never got the chance to speak to her, and now he's a lonely janitor. We really don't know the el orden cronológico de la situación. So it's just up to us to determine what it is, because even though it is an adaptation of the novel and it has the same name, the novel is the novel and the movie is the movie. So it's just up to us to interpret.
Yeah, and there was this couple of scenes that really like throw me back because when they went to go like the ice cream or the smoothie.
Yeah. The blizzard, I mean,
because up to that point in the film, I thought it was gonna be about different universes of her in life of Jake, but you see this woman that was serving her the blizzard saying like, please don't go back, like immediate like interruption of the whole like storyline that was going on. But at the end we don't even see about her, so I'm like, this is confusing. Why do you say stop, but at the end of the day it wasn't even about her, it was about Jake?
I don't know now, because after they leave the house, that's when I started feeling, quite honestly, I started feeling dumb. Because when you leave the house, you stop to get the ice cream, which, by the way, like, I still don't understand how people eat ice cream in cold weather, but that's okay. We drink coffee in Puerto Rico and it's really hot here, so. But after they stop there, they go to the school, because also it was so nerve-wracking, which I know that was the point, but it was so nerve-wracking. They kept pointing out the ice cream was melting, and I was like, sir. And then they go to the school, and then he leaves her alone, and then she gets locked out of the car, and I'm like, where is this going? I don't like where this is going.
That's a terrible day, sir. No.
Honestly.
No, and we start seeing how, okay, spoiler territory again. And that's the final act in that scene where like he leaves her in the car and she goes to inside the school, but then she, like when she walks into school, we see a trash can full of blizzards. So it wasn't even the first time that happened, it was multiple times, so that's why I still played out with different universes but the same character. But I don't know, man, at the end of the movie I don't even know what happened.
Honestly, because again, spoiler territory, then he's just stripped down, nude, and he's just following this pig, which goes back to the story that he said about the pig that had maggots falling out of its stomach. And we just see it walking, and I already forgot the dialogue because I think it was just so confused. But the pig is talking to him, and yeah. Wow. It's just a lot. But again, it goes back to how Jake is probably the janitor, and he is probably reminiscing about so many things during this point of his life, and he probably feels lonely because we see how he looks at the other people in the school. And even like the girls make fun of him, which are then in the Burr place.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a loner figure that probably was reminiscing about this possible young woman that he met or saw in the past, and thinking about how life would have been if he would have been with her. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a good theory.
Yeah, it is a good theory, because going back, when the mother said, oh, he was a physicist, right, Jake?
Mm-hmm.
So I
At
think,
one point.
yeah, at one point, and we see at the end the future that it could have been if he still continued being a physicist, like winning awards and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back and forth, because at some points, he, in the dinner table, he's regarded as this very smart man alongside the young woman. But then other times she's like, oh, he got a participation pin or something like that. So he was seen to be not very bright. So maybe it's one of those moments where you bring a girl home and you're trying to impress her, and your parents are like playing along and they're like, oh, he's such a great guy. And even at the beginning, she's like, I want to break up with him because I don't think there's a spark anymore, but he's such a nice guy. But also, like, I remember at the beginning, she said he was such a nice guy, and I was like, And then in the end, he's losing his temper to the smallest things, especially back home. And he just keeps driving to the school, and they start having this argument about, like, the road, because she also went to a rural high school, and she's like, roads weren't this narrow, I think we can turn around. He's like, no, we can't turn around. And then he starts hitting the wheel. So there are different aspects to him that we start, like, it's like peeling layers from a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also the door to the basement with all the scratches, I was like,
I was like, this is going a little somewhere weird, you know. Yeah, but I think it's, when it says, oh, it was after he said, oh, we have a dog, and then the scratches appear at the door. So that could probably, like, pinpoint it as to why. I don't. This movie.
Yeah. It's like nothing's real, but nothing's fake.
Yeah.
There's a little truth to everything in this film.
I definitely have to watch it again.
Like us trying to analyze Eraserhead. Any final thoughts on I'm thinking of ending things?
It's definitely, you have to watch this movie. It's one of the few movies that from this year came out. It's very interesting to analyze it as we are doing right now, because we're just like ranting what is. But it's really, it's very interesting, the way that Kaufman annotated this. Both completely different. It's definitely different from any Kaufman's film. You should definitely watch it if you love his filmography.
Yeah, and another thing about this film is that I hope, because people are speculating that it could earn him an Oscar, since Netflix has been doing so well with that recently. And I would actually like that, because if it gets nominated, the script will be released and I'll be able to read it, because I'm so curious. I want to know how he wrote it, because at least reading that information sheet that we were sent by Netflix, there's a part where they're talking about the script and how Reed, the author of the novel, read the script and he was like, yes, okay, you can adapt it, because he liked how it's, because again, the novel is the novel and the movie is the movie. But he was a fan of how Kaufman adapted the work into its own little thing. And again, in summary, the film is about projections, the kind of projections you put on other people, and how people change themselves to appeal to others. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow.
So, film posers, definitely recommend I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Charlie Kaufman, available today, September 4th on Netflix, and you can stream it whenever you want if you have a Netflix account. And yeah, 2 thumbs up. From film posers everywhere. Bye.
Bye.